Hello everyone, welcome back to the questions based on jurisprudence. The first question, what is CLT or critical legal theory? CLT is a set of perspectives that challenge traditional views of law, arguing that law reflects and reinforces power structures. How do critical legal scholars view law? Critical legal scholars see law as a tool used by powerful groups to maintain dominance over marginalized groups. Which intellectual traditions influence CLT? Marxism, feminism, postmodernism, critical race theory, and postcolonialism. What is the main critique of legal formalism? Legal formalism assumes law is neutral and objective, ignoring its social and political context. How does Derridian deconstruction apply to law? It argues that laws suppose their neutrality is flawed and unstable. What is the role of ideology in law according to CLT? Law legitimizes power structures and enforces state ideologies. What is the administration of justice? It is a process by which courts and legal institutions uphold the rule of law, resolve disputes, and ensure justice is delivered fairly and timely. What are the key elements of the administration of justice? Access to courts, impartiality, due process, enforcement of decisions, and a timeliness. Why is access to courts important? It ensures individuals can seek redress for grievances and violations of their rights. What does impartiality in justice mean? Judges and legal authorities must be unbiased and objective in applying the law. What is due process? It ensures legal proceedings follow established rules and procedures fairly and transparently. Why is the enforcement of legal decisions necessary? To uphold the rule of law and ensures compliance with the judicial rulings. Why must justice be administered in a timely manner? To prevent the unnecessary delays and protect the individual's rights effectively. What distinguishes law from other normative systems? Unlike social customs or religious norms, law has formal enforcement mechanisms backed by the state. Why is law considered dynamic and evolving? Law changes over time to reflect the social, technological, economic, and moral developments. What is social justice? Social justice is a concept that goes beyond legal equality to address economic and social inequalities. What challenges prevent a just society from emerging? Power concentration, discrimination, economic inequality, and a lack of access to basic services. What is the primary purpose of the criminal justice system? To punish lawbreakers, deter crimes, and rehabilitate offenders. Who prosecutes a criminal case? The state or government through a prosecutor. What is the burden of proof in a criminal case? Beyond a reasonable doubt. Why is the burden of proof higher in criminal cases than in civil cases? Because a criminal conviction can lead to severe penalties such as imprisonment. How do institutions contribute to justice? Governments, courts, and social movements advocate for legal and political reforms to ensure fairness. Who is a key theorist in feminist legal theory? Catherine McKinnon, known for her work on sexual harassment laws. What does feminist legal theory argue about the law? That the law has historically been biased towards masculine perspectives. What does criminal race theory or CRT examine? How race and racism intersect with the legal systems to maintain racial hierarchies. What is intersectionality in CRT? It considers how race interacts with other identities like class, gender, and sexuality. Who introduced the concept of intersectionality? Kimball Crenshaw, a key theorist in CRT. How does post-colonial legal theory view law? As a legacy of colonialism that continues to affect former colonies. What are John Rawls' key ideas on justice? Justice as fairness, including the veil of ignorance to ensure impartial laws. How does utilitarianism define justice? Justice is maximizing overall happiness and welfare in society. What does communitarianism emphasize in justice? Communitarianism focuses on the well-being of communities rather than just individuals. How does libertarianism view justice? Libertarianism prioritizes individual freedom and minimal state interference. What is the main role of legal systems in social justice? Ensuring laws are inclusive and protect marginalized communities. How do political structures affect justice? They shape access to resources, rights, and opportunities within society. Why do power imbalances challenge social justice? They lead to discrimination, exploitation, and unequal access to opportunities. What is the relationship between justice and law enforcement? Justice ensures that law enforcement operates fairly and it does not discriminate against individuals or groups. How do historical inequalities impact present-day justice? Past injustices such as colonialism and discrimination continue to affect marginalized communities today. Give an example of how law adapts to social change. Laws evolving to recognize human rights, gender equality, or environmental protection. How does law help maintain social order? By defining acceptable behavior and setting consequences for violations. How do positivist and autonomous theories differ in the approach to morality? Positivism separates law from morality entirely, while autonomous theories allow for internal coherence that may engage with moral principles. What is a criticism of autonomous theories? They may focus too much on legal formalism and ignore broader moral or social issues. What is a key argument of post-colonial legal theory? That colonial legal systems ignored and undermined indigenous laws. Which theorist is associated with a post-colonial legal studies? Frantz Fanon, who critiqued colonial oppression and its legal consequences. What does queer legal theory challenge? Queer legal theory challenges heteronormative assumptions in legal systems. Who are key theorists in queer legal theory? Judith Butler and Michel Foucault. What are possible outcomes of a criminal case? Punishments such as imprisonment, fines, probation, or community service. List some examples of criminal offenses: theft, homicide, and fraud. What is the first step when a crime is reported? A complaint or police report is filed. What happens after a suspect is arrested? The suspect is brought before a magistrate and charged with the offense. Why is law considered a normative system in autonomous theories? Because it creates and enforces rules based on its own internal logic and authority.